Oop. Hello, hello, hello. It is Janie Coffey, and I am so excited to be here with you guys. This is our monthly success luxury masterclass where we bring a different topic every single, my Siri's talking to me, every single second Wednesday of the month at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are so happy to have our special guest on, Dave Lawson, straight out of Utah.
Yes.
And I am thrilled because Dave is an amazing person. He's an amazing team leader, uber successful in many years of his career. But one of the things he loves the most is helping people learn how to break into the higher price points, how to break into the luxury market. And I've been asking him for months, and we finally made our calendars work. So
yes. Yay.
Yay, I know. So you guys are going to be in for a treat. We're going to have Dave give us a presentation today on how to break into luxury price points, how to get into the higher price points, whether you haven't sold any at all or you've sold a few and you're wanting to increase that, and how to do it calmly and with fun and excitement. So Dave, I'm going to hand it over to you. You guys can ask questions in the comments below, and then at the end we'll save time and answer all the questions at one time. So yes. Awesome.
All right, well, let's get right into it. So good morning, everybody, or actually for you on the East Coast, I guess I should say good afternoon. But anyway, I'm super excited because when Janie asked me this, I've been in the luxury market for a long time. I've helped many agents grow into it with my coaching business and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I can tell you it's one of the best ways to increase your income. And this isn't, so I'm not just excited because we're going to talk about this. I'm excited because this is something that can actually change your real estate career. And I don't mean like in some motivational raw way. I mean, like in a very practical, measurable, like bank account changing way, right? So what I'm going to do is, Janie said, I'm going to go through the presentation. If you have questions, write them down or put them in the chat. And Janie and Jeremy and I will address them at the end, because the Q&A can always be some of the very best part of every presentation. So today we're going to talk about going or breaking into the luxury market. But I want to set the tone right now, because most of what you hear out there about luxury training is honestly, in my opinion, it's nonsense, right? There's way too much stuff that says, oh, you want to be in luxury? Basically, you need to dress better and have prettier pictures and go to expensive events and act like you belong. And listen, those things matter. Presentation matters, marketing matters, but that's not what actually is going to get luxury clients to choose you to list their property. So what I want to do is help you understand this. Your luxury clients, your luxury sellers, they hire agents based on trust, expertise, and certainty, not personality. They don't want a cool agent that's like on TV or something. They want somebody looking for a professional advisor who can really protect their asset. This is a major asset for these people. So today, I'm going to start showing you how luxury clients think, right? What they value, how they position themselves, or how you can position yourself, I should say, so that winning in the luxury business. So that's what you do. And you don't have to be in luxury, but I'm going to use the word yet, right? So just say, I'm not in luxury yet, but I'm going to be. So I want you to have an open mind to that. Now, before we go any further, we need to define what is luxury. So luxury is this. And why? Because if we don't talk about what luxury is, we're going to get stuck, right? So when I say luxury, I'm not talking about like a fixed price point, right? Luxury in Park City is not the same as luxury in a market that we work in Salt Lake, or in some of the Southern California markets that we're now working in, right? Luxury is not the same in Kansas City. You know, luxury in Miami is not the same as luxury in rural Texas or something, right? So for this training, we're going to define luxury very simply. It's the top 10% of your local price point, And really there's luxury, and then there's going to be something you're going to hear the word ultra luxury. Okay. So if you're in a market where the medium home price is, I don't know, 450 or 500, luxury might start at 900,000. If you're in a market with a medium home price of 900, luxury might start at 2 million. It's very simple. Do the math, go in your MLS, you can figure it out. Now in Park City, our median price right now is 2 million, but that includes, you know, 1-bedroom condos and up to very expensive things. So we say luxury in our marketplace starts around 4 million and ultra luxury starts around 8 or 9 million. But the number doesn't matter as much as like the positioning or the psychology. So please know, think of luxury at every price point. I've always said, you know, we operate luxury at every price point, because if I sell a property that's under $1 million, I still give them luxury service, because that's how you get referrals. Okay. So I'm going to say something, and I've said this for many, many years, and I believe it today more than ever. The easiest way to make more money selling real estate is to sell higher price homes. And that doesn't mean luxury is effortless or easy. It's not. But luxury listings, what we know, they take more time, more strategy, more marketing, more money. But the payoff is so worth it. And if you want to build a business that gives you freedom and more income with actually less transactions, right? Better clients, in my opinion, more leverage. Luxury is the way to do it. Now, here's the good news. You don't need permission. You don't need to be a luxury expert yet. You don't need to wait 5 years or 10 years. What you need a plan and positioning. And most importantly, I'm going to talk a lot about it, is consistency. So let's get right into it, okay? So let's move to the next slide. So why should you want luxury, right? That's the obvious question. So let's start with it. And I don't mean why you want it because it sounds impressive or at a cocktail party or anything like that. No. I mean, why should you want it strategically? So here are a few of the reasons, and I wrote these down. So if you're taking notes, go ahead and do so. First of all, there's way less competition in the luxury world. There are really not very many agents who truly focus on luxury. You see, most agents, they're intimidated by luxury. You know, they sort of think it's reserved for that class or these people. They assume that, you know, that these agents, like, they're already wealthy or they're connected or they're already established or they're part of the quote club, right? You see, that belief alone eliminates the majority of all of your competition. So let me say that again, because it's so important. Most agents don't lose in the luxury market because they're not qualified. They lose because they never even compete. So it reminds me, you know, they don't even step into the arena, right? So you got to get out there, right? My favorite quote of all time, it's from, oops, here, you dropped my camera. Can you still see me? My all-time favorite quote is Wayne Gretzky, and he said, as you know, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Now, that's a gift, right? Because if you're willing to step in, study it, commit, you're already way ahead of most of the markets, right? The other thing is the luxury agents that are out there right now have really become complacent. So pay attention to this. A lot of luxury agents in your market and mine, they've been selling luxury for a long time, just like me. Some are phenomenal, some are legends, some are getting older, some are becoming more complacent. But here's the key. If you look closely at their stats, you're going to see that there's a surprising number of listings that are expiring, right? Now, I'm not saying they're bad agents, because they're not. It's just the luxury market has shifted. You know, our sellers are more informed. The buyers are more sophisticated. The luxury marketing has become more competitive, right? And if you're hungry and prepared, you're willing to do what others are not willing to do, you can absolutely take market share. Another reason is to go after luxury, I call it, it's really leverage. When you get a high-end listing, it usually requires more time, effort, and money. But this is what happens. That listing can become a magnet. It attracts other buyers, it attracts other agents, and it attracts attention. And if you do your job well and you market it correctly, one listing can easily get you another listing, another buyer, multiple buyer leads that are going to buy down the road, other referral opportunities. If you've heard any of my trainings, I'm on taking listings. I always say listings have babies, right? But they're not boys and girls. They're what? They're buyers, sellers, and investors. Let me give you an example. We recently listed a home for $14 million property. It was in the Colony and the ski resort of Park City. You know, it was a spectacular home. And off that listing, we found another buyer. And they went on and they purchased a $27 million home with us. Now, gang, that's not luck, that's leverage, right? Luxury listings create exposure, and exposure creates the opportunity. The other thing I'm going to tell you something that's going to surprise you for sure. Luxury clients are easier to work with in so many ways. And why? Well, one, they're more experienced. They bought and sold many, many homes. It's a little bit more of a transaction, right? And they understand the contracts and negotiation and market cycles. And, you know, because of all of those kinds of things, they actually tend to be way less emotional. Now, they're demanding, yes. Their expectations are higher, yes, absolutely. But they're not irrational. They're usually pretty logical, and they want, what do they want? They want data, strategy, they want a professional. That's what these clients are looking for. And when you do that, do it well, these are some of your best long-term clients. Next, and finally, luxury homes have been selling over the last 5, 6, 7 years. And I believe truly that it's going to continue over the next several or many, many years. The wealth shift in America is real. These migration patterns and the demand and lifestyle and all that, it is for real, gang. So luxury is not a trend. It's like a long-term market segment that we all need to grow into. And if you want to build a business that grows with the market instead of like fighting the market all the time, luxury is the way. It's the smartest play. So that's sort of the why and what we're talking about. So now I want to kind of transition into kind of the how, okay? So first of all, I start with this, the biggest mistake that agents make about luxury. You know, they think luxury is a marketing problem or the solution to getting more listings or breaking into the luxury market is about branding or Instagram or better headshots or better lifestyle. And, you know, those things can help, they matter, but luxury is not primarily a marketing game. Luxury is a trust game. And trust is earned through competence, right? So here's the truth. Luxury clients don't hire agents they like. They hire agents they trust. So what do they want to know? They want to know, do you understand the market? Are you an expert? Do you have a plan? Can you protect their equity? Do you know how to negotiate? Can you solve all the problems throughout the entire process? Can you control the process, right? So these clients, they're not paying for your time. They pay for certainty. And the reason most agents never break into luxury is because they don't know that they need to build certainty and they don't know how. And so you've got to build certainty in not only the seller, but also in yourself. Excuse me. Now, let's go a little deeper into like the psychology of luxury, right? So if you want to break into the luxury market, you really have to understand this one thing. And you've probably never heard of this. But I believe that luxury clients think like investors. That sounds kind of crazy, but you know, even when it's an emotional thing, when it's it's a dream home, they still think like investors, right? Investors we know they care about three things. One is risk. So if we know that, how can we reduce their risk? Well, they want to reduce the risk of overpricing the home or underpricing the home or bad marketing or not knowing how to negotiate or timing or bad representation, bad agent, right? They're not just selling a house, they're managing an asset. The next thing is control. Luxury clients want to feel that someone's in control of the process. They don't want chaos. They definitely don't want an agent that's going to wing it, right? They want someone who has a plan, has systems, and knows what to do next. Then last and most importantly, privacy. Luxury clients care about privacy. They care about reputation. They don't want their home marketed like a used car or like what everybody else is doing. They really recognize and love sophistication and like discretion and like professionalism, I guess I'd say. So when you understand this, you realize something that's super important. These sellers, they're not looking for a salesperson. They really, truly are looking for an advisor. A lot of these people on the high end, they have advisors for all kinds of things. And that's the person that you want to become. And that's why being a marketing expert is everything. Okay. So next, market expertise and how to become the marketing expert, right? So let's talk what it means to be the market expert, because you're going to hear this a lot from agents. Well, I know the market, I know what I'm doing, right? But luxury, the sellers, they don't want general knowledge. They want neighborhood, I call it mastery. What does that mean? When I go after a high-end listing, if I don't already know the area, boy, do I become the marketing expert. And I study everything, every listing in the area, every pending sale, closed sale over 6, 12, 24 months, average days on market, price per square foot, the spread between the list price and the sold price, like seasonal patterns, inventory, all of that. But that's not where I stop. I then go deeper and I go into the tax records and I use LandGlide, but everybody can go into the tax records. And I find out who owns what, right? So when you sit down in front of, or when I sit down in front of a luxury seller and we're talking about the comps, we're talking about all the houses in the neighborhood, I don't say, that house, and that house. I say, oh, Mr. Seller, the Smith's house, the one that's just 4 doors down the street. That's the one, that's one of our competition. That's listed at 3.8. The other home, the Jones house, that family with the 4 kids, that's around the corner. That's the house that sold last December 16th. It sold for $3.6 million. And then, of course, the other one you need to know is the Johnson home that's on the street behind us. That house, it only went under contract in 72 days and blah, 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 right? So see what I just did? I just became the neighborhood expert, and I didn't know where, everybody wants to know about comps and all that other stuff, but I make it personal. Like, I don't need to know the Smiths or the Jones or the Johnsons, but when you use them by name, boy, does that create perception. And at that very moment, you're no longer just another agent. You're the person who knows this neighborhood better than anyone else. And believe me, these clients, they're going to recognize it and they're going to respect your expertise. And I'll tell you this, luxury, these luxury sellers or these clients, they don't want you to try hard. They want you to be prepared. And this takes time. It takes work. It's not complicated, gang. It's just uncommon. Write down uncommon. Most agents don't do what I'm sharing with you, and they don't do what I'm doing, which means if you do it, you separate yourself immediately. Okay. So next, this is not a 30, 60, or 90-day plan. So I want to set real expectations for y'all. Typically, if you want to get into the luxury market, it takes a year and a lot of people actually 2 years. But the good news is, I always ask, how long are you going to be in this business? I'm going to be in this business 10 or 20 years. You know what? 1 or 2 years goes by really fast. But the good news is you can actually make money in doing what I'm sharing with you in the next several months if you do it correctly, right? So I always tell agents, there's no elevator to the top of luxury. You must take the stairs. So what does that mean? First of all, I want you to start out by thinking, don't quit your day job, right? In other words, don't stop selling the homes you already have. Luxury is meant to really supplement your income in the beginning, to grow your business, but it's not going to be something that replaces everything you're doing today. So here's a smart way to think about it. You need to decide how much time you're going to invest, how much money, how much effort. So when I decided to really go after luxury in Park City a little over 20 years ago, I said, okay, I'm going to spend 20% of my time. I'm going to spend 25% of my marketing budget. That was my goal. Didn't actually work. I spent 30%, but that was my goal. But I'm going to use one word that made all the difference. I stayed consistent. See, that consistency is what changed my career. And that's what can change your career as well, because luxury, it's not about one deal. Luxury is about identity and positioning, like over time, and it just grows. And man, at some point it blows up, right? So next we're going to talk about upgrade. So I want to be careful about this because this is where sometimes agents get weird. Excuse me. This is not about pretending. This is about aligning your business with kind of the expectations or luxury, or what we just defined early as the top 10%, right? Luxury clients notice details, right? So they notice your presentation, they notice your quality, right? So what do you need to upgrade? You need to upgrade your listing presentation, which I'm going to share with you, and what we do. Marketing plan, your marketing materials, your photography standards, video standards, your staging conversations, and the people that you introduce them to for staging, your follow-up process, your communication systems. And yes, you need to upgrade one other thing, and that's your personal image to a certain degree. Now, it doesn't mean you need designer clothes and, a Maserati or whatever the car is, right? But you do need to look sharp, clean, professional, intentional, immaculate, right? Because your clients, they interpret all these little details as competence, okay? Let's move to the next slide. So we're going to talk a minute about listing presentations. And if you're on this call, I'm sure if I ask all of you, you'd all say you have a listing presentation. But I want you to know I don't have a listing presentation. People go, what? I go, no, I have 5, right? So what I do is I have a listing presentation for every market that I'm in, right? And so we're going to talk about the ultra luxury listing presentation. I'm going to share it with you. But basically, all of my listing presentations are virtually the same, but I just have a page or two that is showing off the homes that I've sold that are in the range of the home that I'm going on. So if I'm going on a listing that's $3 million, we sort of have like a little bit luxury listing presentation. It's all the same. The pictures of the homes are just different. Then there's the ultra luxury listing presentation. So I'm going to share with you. Can you all see this? Okay. So instead of keeping this theoretical, I want to walk you through our ultra listing presentation so you can understand how like luxury clients experience the certainty. So what does the first page say? Your home deserves a top performing team, right? That's intentional. It doesn't say, oh, I'm so great, or hype me as the agent, or doesn't lead with ego, doesn't oversell. Luxury, these sellers, they don't want hype. They want reassurance that their asset, remember, they're an investor, their home, their asset is being handled by a professional operation. So the opening question you must answer immediately, or that they need to, is this agent built to handle something of this magnitude? That's the bar. So positioning, right? So early in the presentation, we shift the focus away from the individual agent, at least I do, and I talk about the team, infrastructure, capacity. We talk about white glove systems. We talk about global reach through eXp Luxury. All this matters because these sellers, they're not hiring effort. They're hiring like, I like to think of it like they're hiring bandwidth or protection. In luxury, solo agents, it's harder to feel impressive and it can feel a little risky. So if you're a solo agent, get with somebody else. I don't want to go into all that, but I think it's important for you to understand that. Okay. Then we go into white glove system, and it's not a promise, it's a system. It says, it doesn't say we give great service. We show the values, the standards, the expectations. And these are clients, these sellers, they don't trust vague promises. They trust defined behavior. If you can't explain how your service works, white glove is just like marketing language. Okay. The process, really quickly, and I don't want to spend too much time, but we show the whole process of discover and align, pre-listing, marketing, launch, on the market, under contract, sold. Your sellers, they want to know what happens before it happens. So we show them, a clear process. It really it lowers their anxiety. It builds trust. It really, it positions you as like someone who's totally in control, right? And I always say uncertainty kills luxury deals, but structure creates confidence. Okay. Now it shows here we've sold 1.2 million in the last 7 years, but we've sold over $2 million or $2 billion, not million. So we talk about it like, well, there's 10,000 homes around here. We sold 4,020. So at least we have a little bit of experience, right? So you can show off without being like boastful, right? Now, you might not say, well, maybe I haven't sold 4,000 homes. Well, it doesn't matter. If you sold 40, you can still use some of these same techniques, okay? So one of the things in the discover and align section, instead of telling the seller what we're going to do, we ask them like why they're selling, what matters to you most, what concerns you, what are you looking for in an agent. They basically, if you ask really good questions, they're going to give you their concerns, and then you can structure the rest of your presentation around handling what's important to them, not you. And these people in the luxury, man, boy, do they want to be heard. They don't want to be like handled, right? This is where you stop being another agent. You become a trusted advisor. So next is, we talk about, well, there's design. Sorry, I was a half a slide behind. Pricing your home, right? So we talk about the condition, the competition, buyer behavior, timing, and leverage. But we do one thing. We do make it clear that the seller actually decides the price they're going to list. But we also talk to them about their decisions can have consequences, right? And so these sellers, they don't want to be told what to do, that's for sure. But they want intelligent guidance they can trust. And when they trust you, then they'll listen to you. And then you can guide them. Okay. In the marketing, where a lot of agents, I think they kind of lose credibility because instead of saying, oh, I do all this great marketing, where we kill our competition is we show them. So we show them what we do, right? We show them like our in-house marketing, execution, professional photographer, video, digital, print, media, Zillow Showcase, man, that is a great thing. If you have a luxury home, you've got to put it on Zillow Showcase, right? We always talk a lot about the global reach through EXP Luxury if you're at an EXP. And I tell people, this isn't about bragging. This is about applying for the job. It's like removing doubt, right? So when luxury sellers see the structure and everything you're doing, they stop asking you if you can sell the home. What we wanted to ask is, how soon can we get started, right? So, so we also talk about sort of the marketing launch. We talk about what happens after the home is live, right? I say this, write this down. Luxury sellers don't want silence. What did I just say? Luxury sellers don't want silence. What do I mean by that? The problem with luxury homes is you might not have a showing for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, so you don't communicate them. That is totally wrong. You have to have a full-on system, right? And then when you give them feedback, you want to show them the feedback. You want to give them substance. You want to give them market insights, clear next steps. You want to show them where you're marketing, what you're doing. We have a client care manager every weekend. She sends an email to every single thing that we've done on every listing, right? They don't want to hear, well, your home's still on the market, but, right? What they want is real stuff that's important. And like, what are the buyers saying? Or how's the market responding to our home? Or what, here's what we recommend we do next. See, that is, that's confidence, okay? We talked a little bit about Zillow Showcase, 81% more views, 80% more saves, 90% more shares, but more importantly, 10% more likely to sell in 14 days and 2% more money. And when you showcase a home, if there's your picture and your phone number goes and there's no referral fee or anything, so don't miss that opportunity, okay? We talked a little bit about EXP Luxury, of course. Oops, sorry. When you can say, hey, is it okay, Janie, is it okay when I list your home if I can put it on Mansion Global and Upmarket and Unique Homes and Robb Report and Wall Street Journal and ... right? Those are important things, but I don't want to spend too much time with that. And then, then like here we're at in this, the managing the home sale. We talked a little bit about that, but then we talk about negotiation, right? And proof, right? So, and we put all these things in order because we think it all matters. So these clients, they don't really care about your stats until they trust sort of your thinking and your process, right? So let's talk about these, I'm not going to go into that right now. But anyway, what's the real point of upgrade? Let's just finish. Okay, we'll see. Well, let's just talk about this a minute. So this is our ultra luxury. So you notice there's 5 homes, right? And what do you see here? You see we sold a 33 million, a 9.7, 13, 10. So if we're listing a house that's 6, 8, 10, 12, 15, 20, 34 million dollars, this is the presentation. The entire presentation is the same, but these different 5 properties are different, right? So in the luxury, we'll have properties from $1 million, $2, $3, $5 million in our other presentations.
Hey, David, real quick, are you able to, after we're done with this, are you able to share that presentation with us and we can able to put it on YouTube and in the comments?
Sure, you bet.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thanks, man.
Okay. So So you guys, what you need to do, you don't need this exact presentation, but you need to build something that is similar, right? I've given you the playbook. I've told you what to do, how to do it, right? We can give it to you and you can see it, right? So that's no problem. And what I'll also do, Jeremy, is I'll give you our luxury and our ultra luxury, or I'll give you a couple of these so that you can see the different, it's not really different. It's not at all. It's just talking. But see, if you're selling a home that's $8 million, you want to show that you're selling from 6 to 20, 30 million. If you're trying to list a home that's 3 million, you want to show all the homes you sold for 2, 3, 4, 5 million, right? So not everybody can do this, but it's the concept that I want you to understand. And when you do this, you really kind of understand what is it? What is in here? It's a structure, preparation, process, confidence, right? Look, these clients, they don't hire agents that hope it works. They hire agents that they look at like they've actually done this before, right? So the biggest upgrade you make, it's not your slides, it's your belief. Dang, my camera keeps dropping. It's your belief that you actually belong in the room. If you walk into a luxury appointment hoping for a chance, you've already lost it, right? Luxury sellers, they don't give you chances. They hire certainty, right? So when I say upgrade, 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 think beyond the materials, So think about your preparation, your process, your expectations, for instance, of yourself, right? And so on. Okay, so I'm going to go back into this. So luxury listings, they take longer to sell, yes or yes, right? We know they do. That's normal. So when you take a luxury listing, the first thing I recommend is don't take a 6-month listing or a 3-month listing. I recommend signing a 1-year listing agreement at minimum, because these sellers, sometimes they need to understand that it takes longer and it's a long-term marketing process. And we need time to do our job. But that leads to something else. One of the very, very, very best ways to get luxury listings is to get other luxury listings, right? And then the other thing is here, and there's all kinds of ways to break in and to market. I only have time right now to talk about one, and I'm going to talk about expired listings. And that's the best way to get into luxury, and I'll tell you why. And don't be calling the listings that expired yesterday or a week or 2 ago. The best ones are that are 6 months or 12 months, 2 years or longer, right? These are often the easiest listing sources, because there's very, very few agents that are talking to these sellers now. Think about it. When a listing expires, everybody calls the first day and second and third and fifth and week and 1 month and then 2 months, and after 3, nothing. It's crickets, right? They stop the calls. But think about it, the seller still has the same problem. They still want to sell. They still want to know. They still want the outcome they wanted. They just lost confidence in the process. So here's the secret. Most luxury listings expired because of why? Only one reason. They were overpriced, right? Well, the great thing is, because we know that in most of the upper end market, in most of our markets, not necessarily all of them, but the prices have continued to go up, right? So an old overpriced listing might actually be the right price to sell right now. So you can go back and seller and you can ask questions, right? What's happened? What's changed? Can I show you my plan? And suddenly you can be like the solution. This is a very powerful strategy. It's super simple, but people give up. They can't get a list. They work expireds for a week or 2 or a month, and then they're on to the next one. So don't do that, right? Next, we're going to talk about the difference between customer experience and customer service, right? This is one of the biggest differentiators in luxury, because these clients, they don't want updates. They want confidence. What do they want? They want to feel like, I don't know, you're ahead of the market. You're ahead of what the buyers are doing or the buyer pool. You're ahead of the competition. And so I always say this: customer service is reactive, but customer experience, where you get all the referrals and everything changes, it's proactive, right? Customer says, hey, Jeremy, call me if you need anything, right? But if I'm going to offer you a great customer experience, I'm going to say, Jeremy, like, here's what's happening. Here's what we're doing next. Here's how we're adjusting our strategy based on the data. This is what we're doing next and why, right? See, that's luxury. And this is what creates the referrals, because referrals really come from one thing. They come from when a client is really protected. When they feel protected, they talk about you. You know, these sellers, they don't refer you because you were nice or cool or you drove a nice car or had a great watch. They refer you because you're effective, right? Okay, so marketing these homes requires an investment in strategy, right? So we know that luxury marketing costs more money. That's a reality, because the photography costs more, video, staging, print costs, digital marketing, right? And like I said, always use Zillow Showcase on all. This all costs money, right? So when you're getting into luxury, you have to put together your budget, but my advice is super simple. So what I did is, when I took a luxury listing, I just said, okay, I'm doubling my marketing budget. Now, I don't want you to waste money, guys, and please listen to this. Don't let the seller talk you into marketing somewhere where it doesn't sell homes. I sold a house to a guy from Shooting Star Pictures in Beverly Hills. He had a house. And, you know, he wanted me to list it, but he wanted me to advertise in like Variety magazine, which is like a magazine for the industry, if you will. And of course I did it. But today I would say, no, that's not where, were you ever looking at that magazine to find out if you want to find a house? No, I'm going to put, wouldn't it be better if I market your home on Wall Street Journal and market and blah, 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 right? So just because something's expensive doesn't mean that it's effective, right? So what I found over the years, though, is that our clients in the luxury realm, they care about quality, but they also really all they care about is the results. So, make your marketing plan strategic, right? So what does that mean? I use these 4 terms. You must create your marketing, or it's designed to create exposure, exclusivity, urgency, and trust. Those are the 4 things. And you must be able to explain these clearly, because the sellers, they don't actually want you just spending randomly, but what they want is they want to see an actual strategy, right? One more thing I want to mention here, especially if you're part of the EXP Luxury, use EXP Luxury to get listings. It's one of the biggest tools, because when I say, Jeremy, is it okay if I advertise on blah, 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 all that? They're like, yeah. And then you show them what it does, right? So anyway, but moving on. So, here's why some of all that matters, right? So where luxury buyers coming from? They're often not local. Where are they coming from? All over the place. They're not actively searching MLS or like Zillow or whatever, like traditional buyers do. Lots of these people come from referral networks and agent networks and relocation and lifestyle driven exposure. And we can help you with all of that. That's a whole nother thing. But what if you can confidently explain, like, to a seller, that their property isn't just being marketed locally, but it's being, showcased through, like all these global networks that we have in Zillow and Realtor.com and blah, blah, blah. What it does is it really helps elevate that whole conversation. But just as important, what it does is it changes your mindset, right? So you're no longer saying, oh, here's what I'm going to try to do. what you're saying is, here's the platform that your home will be featured on, or here's the different ones, right? And that level of exposure really reinforces like your professionalism. It kind of justifies your marketing costs, but also your commission. And it really helps the sellers feel like, you know, their home really is being positioned properly, right? Not just listed. Okay. And like, here's the media kit. So I can just share with you just really quickly. By the way, this house here, this is across the street from Post Malone's house. We listed it $7 million. So if you have a buyer, please let me know. But, you know, we use this not only, and like when we send it to our seller, you know, it talks about everything, and it shows. And if you click on this button, you'll see the ad running in the wall.
Hey, David, because the link is not working on there, because all I have is the deck. I don't think it is working. Let me see if I can get it sharing for you.
Oh, okay.
There we go. I got it showing now. So hold on 1 second. I'm going to show it to him real quick, and then let's start working on. It's got about 10 minutes left, David.
Yes, I'm almost done. Okay.
Yeah,
well, you know what? Let's just click out of this. Let's just move on. So another thing is overpriced listings. And in our career, we said, oh, don't take an overpriced listing, right? Well, we know all the reasons, but I want you to just take away this. I take a listing if it's overpriced 10%, sometimes as much as 15%. They have to have a real reason to move. They're not testing the market. And sometimes there's unrealistic or stubborn sellers. But don't just automatically reject a luxury opportunity because the price is high. And the reason why is sometimes the price comes down, sometimes the market comes up, and sometimes that overpriced listing becomes your biggest source of other buyer and seller business, right? And then price reductions in luxury. There's a whole thing about this, but I want you to just understand this. If you do your job, they know it, they trust you. But don't ever do a small price reduction. If you have a $5 million house, don't reduce it by $50,000. That doesn't create urgency or change search brackets or reposition the home. It doesn't do anything. So I recommend 5% reduction in the high-end market. If there's a lot of showings, if there's no showings, it's 10%. Okay. Then working with other agents. We're kind of running out of time, but there's a whole thing that I want you to understand. Just take this thing away. When you get a listing called 5 or 10 or a dozen of the best luxury agents in your marketplace and say, hey, Jeremy, I just listed 123 Main Street. We're taking pictures next Tuesday. It's going to be on the market on Wednesday. I want you to understand that, or have you the first opportunity. It's a way to really, really, really build rapport, and then they'll return the favor oftentimes, okay? And then one of the secrets to breaking into it is this. It's not complicated. It's all about consistency. The thing is, most agents, they dabble. They do a luxury home or an open house, or they send a mailer, or they do this luxury event, and then they disappear. You know, your clients, they're not going to hire you as a dabbler. They're going to hire a specialist, right? So that means you got to be consistent in everything you do, right? Next, and almost done, is how to generate luxury referrals, right? This is super important, right? And I'm going to try to do this fast, but you got to think about your mindset here, right? You're not begging for business. You're letting know that you specialize. You're making it easy for them to refer to you. And because if you don't tell people what you want, they won't guess. So in your referral, I tell people this: make it simple, confident, specific. Say something like, Jeremy, hey, if you come across somebody buying or selling in the top end of our market, I'd love the opportunity to help you. That's where I do my best work. What does that do? It positions you as someone who already operates. You're already the market expert. Doesn't sound like you're trying to break in or belong. And so, because luxury is perception, do that, right? And then when you're talking to these other agents or networks, you've got to be very specific. So I would say, you know, for instance, you're talking to anybody, right? So if you have any referrals in Park City, Salt Lake City, or or Utah, or San Francisco, Napa, Santa Barbara, LA, Orange County, San Diego, send me your clients and get paid. And you see what I did? I asked for the business. I was very specific in what I wanted and in what markets I specialize in. So, I'm going to close with this. Breaking into luxury, it's not about luck. It's not about who you know. It's not about your car, your watch, your Instagram, your whatever. It's about positioning, competence, being the market expert, and being consistent over a month. So if you take this seriously, because if you really want to do this, and if you do it, it will change your income massively. And you can build a business with better clients, higher commissions, more leverage. And this is something, gang, that lasts and lasts forever. So thanks for your time today. I appreciate it. If there's anything that I say that you take away from this session is this: luxury clients don't hire the agent that wants the listing the most. They hire the agent that seems the most certain. So gang, let's all become that agent. So there you have it. Thank you.
Dave, that was so good. And I think you gave everybody a lot of kind of confidence and understanding that nobody came out of real estate school selling luxury homes. I haven't met anybody. We all got our first one. We worked our way up. We built our knowledge. We built our confidence. We did have a few questions in here that I'd like to get your take on real fast.
Okay, let's do it.
One of them was, this is the question everybody asks: what do you do if you don't have any luxury past sales? How do you handle that? What do you say to the seller if they ask you that?
Okay, well, the first thing, if you don't have one, I think the best way to do is to partner up with somebody that does, right? So give them half. Say, hey, Janie, can I use some of your stuff in my materials and I'll pay you half? I'll do 90% of the work and you'll do 10%. So it's a way to get into the market. That's probably the easiest thing to do. But the thing is don't think of this like you're selling $500,000 houses and now you want to sell 20 or $34 million houses, right? You're selling 500. You want to try to start selling 800 and $1.2 million and then $1.5 million, right? So hope that helps.
That helps. And I also answered in the comments, because I get asked this as a trainer all the time. Barely any seller will ever ask that. And if you show up confident, like Dave was saying, well prepared, that's what they're seeking. That's what they're seeking. And if you have all of that, it's very rare that they're even going to ask you that. So I wouldn't even stress that much about it.
I can't agree more.
There's one more question. If you could hit this one, I saw it a couple times in the box. How do you price homes when there's no comps? Like what is your thought process in that? Because obviously in the luxury end, sometimes there's no comps that meet exactly what, this particular home is like. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, if there's no comps, it's flat, it's hard, but everybody has the same problem, right? So then what I do is I work really, really hard in getting an idea of what they want out of the home to see if it's in the range. And if they won't ever give me, but I have lots of little tricks, I don't have time, but I have a lot of tricks and tips on how to ask in different ways to get an idea of what the house, what the value is, right? But if you can get a number from them and then you see if that's reasonable, that's the first thing. The second thing is if you don't know, then at that point, what you do is you have to give some kind of a range and make the range a little bit wide so that they don't not choose you because of that. But when they ask me a question about, what's it worth? And, I just ask them a lot of other questions, but we don't have time. But, I want to know where they're going and what their time frame is. And would they rather sell for a little more if they want to give me more time or a little bit less? And then sometimes I say, what is a price that you absolutely positively wouldn't go below? Man, and oftentimes
That's good.
Oftentimes they'll tell you.
Tell you what, David, we're running out of time here today, but we need to bring you on again because I feel like we have at least 2 hours worth of content left that you could really dive into and push in. So I really appreciate it, Dave. Good stuff. I'm going to put all the links. I'm going to put your slide decks, stuff like that, into the YouTube comments, guys. If you enjoyed today's session, guys, drop in the chat and how awesome Dave is. Give him some love there. And then I think, Janie, we're back again next month.
We're back again next month. We're always here on the second Wednesday of the month at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on some individual one-off topic. We try to cover everything complete in our little mini masterclass. We love having you guys on. We love your comments. And please send a great thanks to Dave. We really appreciate his time and his generosity and his kindness and caring to share everything with us. So there it goes.
Hey guys,
I don't know if you're seeing the comments, but they love you.
Yeah, there's tons and tons of comments coming in, Dave, about how much they love you. So I appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Here, I'm going to say one last thing. If you want to make a lot of money in real estate, have an abundance mentality, not a scarcity mentality. Help others, share what you know, and don't be afraid to ask other people for your help, because when you live in the abundance mentality, boy, the universe just revolves.
100%. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Appreciate y'all. You guys have a great one. Be blessed, and we'll see you guys next month. See you guys.
Okay. Bye.